So, you know, when there's someone in your life who you really don't like, who really grates on your nerves, no matter what they do, it's always the opposite of what you would have done. When they are talking, you find it difficult to understand them, and a lot of the time you're either misinterpreting, misunderstanding, or just plain disagreeing with whatever's coming out of their mouth, and etc., etc. And the interesting thing about this dynamic that we develop with that one person, or sometimes maybe it's more than one person, is that what feeds our experience around them and towards them is how we will think about them. So the little thoughts that you have in the little moments about how they are such a bad person, or how they should just fuck off, or they, you know what, they don't give a shit, why should I give a shit, or they have absolutely no interest in understanding me, why should I make an effort to go out of my way to be nice to them when all that they ever do is reject my attempts, and so on and so forth. So we script this play, this narrative around that person. And because we've scripted it in that way, our responses over time become more and more solidified in that nature of what we're scripting. So what might start off as a dislike grows into a resentment or anger or hatred even. And furthermore, what comes from that is who we are towards that person, the things that we'll allow ourselves to say and do with that one person that we would never do with another person. It's like we kind of drop the guard over our mouths, our inhibitions fall away, and we say all the nasty little things that come up that we might otherwise not have said to another person, or the snide little comments, or the impatience, or the unwillingness to support someone through something, where instead of wanting to support them, or instead of being willing to support them, we become impatient, we become frustrated, we take it out on that person. And it's like we just become this more and more and more, and the bigger and more charged up this becomes over time because of how we've been thinking about this person, the more difficult it becomes to change our relationship to them. And it never has anything to do with them, actually. It's always within that person. They are representing something that we are not wanting to see, some part of ourselves that in some way is hitting home, whether it's something that we do ourselves or something that is the opposite of what we do and we have an intense judgment about. And I know how difficult it is to take that step consistently, to keep bringing these reactions and these thoughts back to self, to keep bringing these points to a point of self-reflection rather than getting on the reaction train and going full speed ahead into this emotional explosion that might do things like end relationships, ruin friendships, make working life difficult, and sometimes even worse than that. So it's like, because there's all this energy built up around this person, this point, when it gets triggered within us, what makes it so challenging to stop it is what I found in myself, at least, that it's almost like I let myself slip. Because I usually have quite a stern grip on what I will allow myself to participate in, to think, to speak, to write, all of these things. And in those moments where I'm in an emotional reaction, I kind of want to put that self-discipline aside and look at, okay, how can I cause the most damage that is possible in this moment to show this person what a complete and utter dickwad they are, because no other way has worked, or whatever the thought process is. But it's along those lines of, it's like losing that inhibition, losing that willingness to really consider our thoughts, our words, our actions. And because we stop considering and looking at, okay, what am I actually thinking, what am I about to say or do here, we will then act on those emotional reactions. And that is where we say things in anger. Our vile, poisonous, toxic hatred comes out. Our nastiness comes out. Because we've been allowing it to bubble and boil and simmer and just get stronger and bigger. So, the correction is simple, yet it has difficult or challenging moments when you are actually practicing it. So, first, or one of the aspects that is important to consider here is, okay, how can I bring these reactions back to myself? How can I take how I'm reacting, what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, my judgments about this person, my thoughts about this person, and reflect on, what is this actually saying about me? What is this person or this judgment or this thought representing about me? How can I learn more about myself here, rather than just getting on my high horse and parading around, strutting my righteous armor and my glorious banner, showing how right I am and how wrong they are, without really actually stopping to consider, who am I? What am I actually creating here? Okay, so bring the point back to yourself. Okay. And part of that process, within that, there must be that self-discipline of not going down that rabbit hole, not following those thoughts, not allowing those nasty thoughts to even play out within you. So it's like when the thought comes up and you want to start following it, and like, yeah, they're so fucking blah, 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 rather than going down that road where we all know where it leads. Take a moment, take a breath, and remind yourself that this is not who I want to be. That is not the relationship I want to create. That is not how I want to handle conflict. That is not how I want to handle my reactions and responses to people and things. So, now, here's where another important aspect comes in. Beforehand, what you can do to support yourself is to plan different things that you can do differently in those situations, instead of following those thoughts, instead of going down that rabbit hole. So, whatever you've planned to do, either focus on 4-count breathing and then focusing on looking for solutions, or Pretend the person is someone else, and how would you approach the situation then if they were someone else who you really love or admire or respect? Find different things to test out to see what works for you. What in those situations, when you're in this emotional reaction, when the thoughts are coming up within you, what can you do to bring yourself back down, to ground yourself again, and to move forward in a way where you are creating yourself and developing relationships in a way that you would like to, rather than in an emotional reaction that ends up where you do things that you're going to regret. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment on the video or send a direct message to the page. If you would like to support Get Real, you can do so by following the link to the Patreon profile where you can become a patron. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.